Tonight, we're diving into a story that's hit every American wallet: tariffs. Tariffs are taxes on imported goods, meant to make foreign products pricier and boost American-made sales. President Trump made tariffs the heart of his economic policy, arguing they'd bring jobs back and force fairer trade deals. But he didn't just use old trade laws, he invoked the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, or IEEPA, a law meant for national security crises. Trump's administration used IEEPA to justify sweeping tariffs, including the fentanyl tariffs and reciprocal tariffs, targeting nearly all major trading partners. These moves raised U.S. tariff rates by over 11 percentage points, shaking up global trade. The White House claimed this was about fairness. If other countries taxed U.S. goods, America would hit back just as hard. Trump insisted foreign countries would pay, and the revenue would flow into the U.S. Treasury. This aggressive tariff man strategy set the stage for a massive clash, not just with other nations, but within the U.S. itself. And that's where our story begins. Trump's tariff blitz faced fierce opposition from American businesses, manufacturers, and state attorneys general. The legal fight peaked with Learning Resources Inc. v. Trump, led by a toy company claiming the tariffs were crushing their business. Their argument: IEEPA was never meant for economic protectionism. Congress, not the president, controls trade and taxes. Lower courts sided with the challengers, setting up a Supreme Court showdown with huge stakes. For Trump, a loss would gut his signature policy. For businesses, a win meant relief from skyrocketing costs. The case boiled down to a core question: how far can a president go in wielding economic power? As oral arguments neared, tension soared in Washington. Trump called the case one of the most important decisions ever made, underscoring its gravity. The Supreme Court was asked to draw a line between presidential and congressional power. The world watched, waiting for a verdict that could reshape American trade policy for a generation. The outcome would define the limits of executive authority in a global economy. While the legal battle raged, Americans felt the tariffs sting. Despite claims that foreign countries would pay, U.S. importers bore the cost, passed down to consumers. Retail prices jumped nearly 5%, costing the average household about $1,000 in 2025. Businesses, relying on imports, faced a brutal choice: absorb costs or raise prices and risk losing customers. Major companies like Volkswagen and Brooks Running reported huge losses or price hikes. Small businesses, lacking resources to adapt, were hit hardest. Many shelved expansion or closed entirely. Analysts projected the tariffs would shrink the U.S. economy and cost over 400,000 jobs. The government collected billions in revenue, but critics argued it was Americans footing the bill. Supporters called it a win for the Treasury. Opponents saw it as a drag on growth and jobs. The economic pain was real, and the debate over who truly paid the price only intensified. The stakes for American families and businesses couldn't have been higher. Globally, Trump's tariffs triggered a wave of retaliation and strained alliances. Countries like Mexico and Canada hit back with their own tariffs, targeting U.S. exports and sparking a trade war. American farmers and manufacturers suffered as foreign markets closed. Tensions with Canada escalated after new tariffs and suspended trade talks, despite diplomatic efforts. Allies felt blindsided, and even Congress began to rebel. Republicans joined Democrats in a Senate vote to repeal the tariffs. Meanwhile, Trump and China's Xi Jinping reached a brief truce, pausing some tariffs in exchange for rare earth metals and soybean deals. The cycle of escalation and negotiation left businesses and allies in limbo. The policy's unpredictability fueled uncertainty at home and abroad. Political support for the tariffs began to fracture under economic pressure. The world watched as America's trade strategy became a high-stakes gamble. On November 3, 2025, the Supreme Court delivered a historic blow to Trump's trade policy. In a 6-3 decision, the justices ruled Trump had overstepped by using IEEPA for sweeping tariffs. Chief Justice Roberts wrote that IEEPA was for urgent national security threats, not for reshaping economic policy. The court warned that letting the president use emergency powers for broad tariffs would erode Congress's authority over taxes and trade. The dissent argued the president needs flexibility for national security, but the majority held firm. Congress holds the purse strings. The ruling didn't judge tariffs' merits, it clarified who gets to make such decisions. The court sent a clear message: only Congress can authorize trade wars of the scale. The tariffs weren't erased overnight, but the executive's power was sharply checked. This decision reasserted congressional control and set a precedent for future presidents. The balance of power in Washington had been fundamentally redrawn. The Supreme Court's decision sent shockwaves through Washington and the economy. Trump blasted the ruling, vowing to push Congress for new tariff powers. For businesses, the verdict brought relief. Expansion plans revived, layoffs paused, tariff collection halted, promising lower costs for importers and, eventually, consumers. The process will take time, and businesses are now seeking refunds for billions paid. The ruling is a powerful check on presidential authority, forcing Congress to reclaim its constitutional role in trade. Lawmakers may now take a more active role in shaping trade policy. For families, the threat of rising prices on everyday goods has eased. The projected $1,300 annual cost hike per household is off the table, for now. But the long-term direction of U.S. trade remains uncertain, now firmly in Congress's hands. The national debate over tariffs and trade is just beginning. The Supreme Court has spoken, but the future is anything but settled. Trump wants Congress to restore his tariff authority, but Washington is deeply divided. Some lawmakers see tariffs as vital leverage, others want a less confrontational approach. International partners are watching. Will this mean de-escalation or more chaos? The recent truce with China is now uncertain, and allies like Canada and Mexico are wary. Businesses must quickly adapt to a world without tariffs, rethinking supply chains and pricing. The sudden policy shift brings its own economic challenges. The core debate, protectionism versus free trade, has moved from the White House to Congress. The Supreme Court's decision is a turning point, restoring congressional power and providing relief to many. But it's also unleashed political turmoil and left America's trade future wide open. The next chapter in the Great Tariff War is about to be written,